Next topic is array renaming. This is exactly similar to scalar renaming. Here also, when one loop is given, we'll try to vectorize it. If it is not possible, then we will see, we will observe the dependencies, and in loop, we'll try to partition the iteration into two or more parts, and for every individual part, a separate array name would be used. So this is exactly similar to scalar renaming, and in place of scalar, here arrays are reused. Okay, so memory location for array would be more than the memory required for scalar. So array renaming will cost more because it requires more memory. You are replacing one array by more than one array, so obviously it will take more memory. So try to understand this array renaming by using this simple example. So again, I request you to observe this example very carefully, this loop very carefully. So first instruction is a of I is equal to a of I minus 1 plus x. Second is y of I is equal to a of I plus z. Then next is a of I is equal to b of I, and then n2. So after understanding meaning, now try to get its dependence graph. Okay, so dependence graph will have three nodes: S1, S2, and S3. Now, how many dependencies are there? You can clearly see that a of I is defined in S1 and it is used in S2. Okay, so we'll be having one dependence from S1 to S2, and this is loop independent true dependence. Okay, then in S2 a of I is used, in S3 it is defined. That's why from S2 to S3 you will be having another dependence, and it is loop independent empty dependence. Then here a of I is defined, and in next iteration same memory location is used here. So in first iteration a of 1 is defined in third statement. In second iteration a of 1 is used. Okay, so you will be having one dependence from S3 to S1, and this dependence is true dependence. First defined, then used. So it is true dependence and it is loop dependent true dependence, because source and sink are in different iteration. Now in addition to this, you have one more dependence from S1 to S3, because S1 and S3 both define same variable a of I. So S1 to S3, and this dependence type is output dependence, and it is loop independent because source and sink are in same iteration. So this is dependence diagram. It is having in all total 4 dependencies. Now here we have to see whether we can apply array renaming. So the concept is same as was used in scalar renaming. We have to see whether we can divide use and definition of a common array into two parts. Okay, so here you can clearly see that the a of I which is defined in S1 is used in S2. After that a of I is defined in S3. So this value is actually having no relation with this value. This value is used, which is defined here, and after that in S3 it is again redefined. So this has no relation as such. So this anti-dependence, this loop independent anti-dependence is basically a weak link. So you have to try to break this. Now second times when it is defined in S3, then it is used in S1 of the next iteration. Okay, so here if you have to partition this iteration, then this definition of a of I and this use, okay, this is one part. Here it is defined and here it is used, and then S3, left of S3 and this one, right of S1 is a second part. Okay, so this is first part. These two values are same. The thing which is defined here is used here. The thing which is defined here is used here. But this two A of I, although these are same memory location, but are holding different value. They are not having any relation. So we can partition this into two different array. Okay, so I can rename this. One of the name can be kept as it is, and another may be renamed. Say I want to rename this one. So this becomes $i is equal to A of I minus 1, and this should also be $. So in one part I will keep same name, in another part I will use a different name, because this is not having any relation, so I will be using different memory location for this use and this use. Okay, so if I rename this array, okay, then some of the dependence can be removed. Okay, so very important is this dependence will be as it is, S1 to S2. Okay, this is true dependence. So this will remain after renaming also. Then the dependence from S2 to S3 will no longer be here, because this is a different name, this is a different array. So after this, now you need to remove this dependence. Okay, so there will be no anti-dependence. So I earlier said that loop independent anti-dependence is a weak link. You have to always try to remove that. Okay, so if you remove that, then this dependence is removed, and after that this will also be removed. Okay, loop independent output dependence, because these two are different variables, so this dependence will also be removed. So if you remove this, then what remains? Only two dependence, S1 to S2 and S3 to S1. Okay, so in this dependence graph you can clearly see that there is no cycle. So if no cycle is there, then you can vectorize this, and sequence would be, first you need to execute S3, and then since it has dependence to S1, so then S1 will be executed, then S2 will be executed. So first S3 will be executed, then S1, and then S2, and then you can vectorize this program. Okay, so if you have any issue, any problem in this understanding of array renaming and scalar renaming, then you can post your query. Thank you.